So quick heads up, this game was actually given to me by Pumpkin Games as a review copy. Thanks a lot. I really love twin-stick shooter dungeon crawling roguelites. God, that genre name is terrible. Evident by the 3 total I reviewed and loved, as well as the many more I own and honestly should review. It's a love-hate relationship. Each have amazing traits that keep me gripped, despite making me want to smash my controller into smaller pieces than a Hadron Collider can. Good visual styles, amazing music, cool game mechanics. If I reviewed every one I came by, I'd be stuck reviewing these things forever. Maybe I'll make a mashup Drako Dissertates video for them sometime. So scrolling through my emails, I find one from somebody representing a developer group offering a free key for a new game they'd wish me to try. Pretty hypocritical and ironic coming from the intro to my Void Bastards review. Maybe Glover for the PS1 is in action for a Drako Dissertates after all. GlitchAngels is a twin-stick shooter with a more retro style to it. The first thing that stuck out to me immediately was the visuals, taking a more retro 8-bit style, reminiscent of the Atari 2600. I've honestly never played a video game with this type of visual style, and honestly, I kind of enjoyed it. This game is stripped to the basics with its own tinges of creativity. Clear floors, don't get hit, obtain upgrades, defeat bosses. It's a simple but effective formula, with a couple twists. One huge change to how you approach this game is its line of sight system. Despite being a top-down shooter, you have a line of sight, so the sometimes maze-like room designs can work against you, limiting your approach. It makes you hesitate before running from area to area with no fear of death, and it is honestly a fresh approach to slow the pacing down and make things more challenging without simply just adding more bullets to the bullet hell or increasing enemy health. I love it. Bosses are intensely challenging, and earning yourself glitches adds more content to the game as you go on, such as arena events where you have to survive and kill an onslaught of enemies all at once in a set amount of time to progress. Or the bosses, which are chaotic and require you to usually focus pinpoint regions to defeat it. This game also has a unique way for how you recover after dying or taking hits. You're one hit, no health bar, no healing, none of that. Every time you get hit, you quote-unquote time out, and by using a timeout, you can actually reverse time to before when you were hit, allowing you to approach things differently. Rather than just giving you a scenario and letting you off scot-free after taking a hit, GlitchAngels gives you a scenario and tells you to make it work, bending your mind just that much further. Once you run out of timeouts, you finally game over, so you have plenty of tries so long as you're careful. The game has you switch between angels mid-game, each with unique abilities and gun types. It reminds me of another twin-stick shooter I was planning on making a video about, Helmut. Each angel has 2 special abilities that can be used for a combative effect and for a defensive or protective effect. But let's be honest, you're just gonna panic and hold your shield up the entire time anyways. In the end, I honestly stuck to a small few angels consistently. Switching abilities is honestly pretty tough mid-chaos, and I enjoyed a few abilities over others. However, I am not perfect at my reviews, and this game is not perfect in its own right either. Firstly, remember how I mentioned earlier that I love twin-stick shooters until they beat me down to the point I get too frustrated? Well, GlitchAngels is hard. Really hard. At least it was for me. And it's the same reason I wasn't too big a fan of Nuclear Throne. GlitchAngels is merciless, requiring knee-jerk reactions more than anything else to less than a second window, that it feels like half of my deaths I really can't do anything about. It's a big flaw I have when I play these types of games. I find difficult games, well, difficult. I'm not too good at it, and there's not a lot of stuff that can motivate me to get better if it really doesn't add new content to it. But at the end of the day, maybe that's more of a personal problem, and it's definitely subjective. The challenge really isn't helped by the issue of the colors in this game, though. By using single, bold, and solid colors for the background and the enemies, with such chaos, it's very difficult to manage things, see what's happening, and react effectively. Projectiles and enemies can blend into the background when you're trying to observe everything at once, but it can get incredibly difficult to react when you're swarmed, leaving you unsatisfied, feeling like you got cheated out of a death. The upgrade system is also not really exciting personally, so I didn't find a lot of motivation to continue upgrading. Throughout my playthrough, I focused on prioritizing upgrading golems to open up my line of sight into other rooms while having a little extra firepower, and it honestly worked out pretty well, giving me small windows that helped me read rooms before I entered and got obliterated. It's an interesting tactic, however the rest of the upgrades don't really allow a sort of flexibility to how you play. In the end, they all just make you better, but it doesn't really change how you play at the end of the day. So upgrades weren't something I ended up thinking about as much as I'd hoped, and progress felt almost non-existent, as every floor looked the same anyways, only varying really by the enemies found there. Regardless, these faults are not built in stone, and GlitchAngels is another alright twin-stick shooter to add to the list, if not for the small and personally obstructive imperfections. My controller didn't enjoy it as much as me, but that's okay, don't look over that.